Thank you very much, our spokesperson, the officials, and members of the media. I see the former leadership of the EFF has also joined us today, and I saw the president of the Student Command as well in the press conference. The economic freedom fighters celebrate 10 years of unbroken struggle as the year 2023 marks a decade since the formation of this radical, militant, and selfless movement of the left, which has reignited the politics of South Africa for the better. The EFF was formed as a response to the cries of our people in the face of the betrayal of the former liberation movement, which was emphasized by the massacre of 34 mine workers in Marikana in defense of the profits of the white ruling class and international capital. It is a movement born out of that ultimate sacrifice, and we are proud to be seated here today in Uncle Tom's Hall to mark 10 years of honoring that sacrifice. It was in this hall, on the 26th of July 2013, that delegates from all across South Africa gathered to answer the call of what is to be done, as the reality dawned upon all activists that the struggle for the liberation of African people had been betrayed. The delegates reflected on the prevailing conditions in South Africa, which at the time included massive poverty, that the political freedom without economic freedom is meaningless. It was these delegates who, here at Uncle Tom's Hall, declared that our decision is to fight. It is now 10 years later, and the conditions of our people remain the same, as they drawn in massive unemployment, institutionalized corruption, and lack of basic services such as water, housing, healthcare, education, and electricity. The delegates of the National Assembly on what is to be done were indeed correct. South Africa's developmental problems in the foreseeable future, owing to its ideological zigzags and the open dominance of neoliberal and right-wing politics. The former liberation movement's integrity and credibility will gradually decline because it will not address the many massive developmental challenges confronting society in the current status quo. The Congress-aligned left-wing formation have been swallowed into the reforms politics of patronage and will never regain integrity to pursue real working-class struggles anytime soon. The trade union movement, which is supposed to defend workers' interests, will soon be swallowed into the same politics of reform. All those who push for a radical agenda will be isolated, banished, and portrayed as anti-government. The majority of people in informal settlement, townships, villages, and other poor communities will disengage from mainstream politics and not vote in successive elections. The youth movement has been turned into a lapdog sent to repeat what the incumbent government leadership says. Puppet youth leaders will be rewarded with cabinet posts and other perks to sustain their puppet status. Victimization of those who are suspected of being part of the political alternative to the former liberation movement will increase, with the threats of arrest, assassination, and the possible manipulation of the justice system. The middle class will further drift away from the former liberation movement and beef up the neoliberal alternative. Service delivery protests will intensify, and workplace stoppages in the mines and on farms will also continue in higher volumes than before, thus worsening the economic crisis South Africa is experiencing. Mine workers will become more militant and will fight struggles for their economic survival. Any form of generalized uprising will be harshly suppressed by the state machinery in an attempt to prevent it from escalating to a level where a sitting government can be toppled. The youth will become more disgruntled under the leadership of the ANC, and like in previous elections, the youth will be fed so many empty promises on education and jobs which will never be created because there is no radical, convincing plan on how this can be done. South Africa has been turned into kleptocracy, with government leaders openly looting state resources, pursuing self-enrichment and classifying reports and servant leadership, service delivery and developing love for our people. This is in his community. The EFF's cleanup campaign entailed the removing of illegal dumping sites in our communities and fixing sewer leakages which pose a health hazard to our people. This campaign, which is held every Saturday, has led to various political parties and municipalities embarking on cleaning campaign, an initiative we are proud of as it shows that the EFF leads and others follow. The EFF further launched its Councillor of the Month campaign, where EFF councillors who exhibit selfless leadership in uplifting their communities and intervening in service delivery challenges are rewarded with 50,000 to use for a developmental initiative of their choice in their ward. Further to this, the EFF has hosted birthday celebrations across all provinces of South Africa in old age homes, orphanages and facilities for disabled as part of an outreach program that shows that as an organization we belong to the most helpless in society. This organization of the poorest of the poor has donated to institutions that take care of those who are the most fragile in our society, essentials such as solar panels, infrastructure improvements, kitchen essentials, water purification systems, and groceries. These interventions have been made at the following centers: Elkana Children Care Center in Western Cape, Zanele Mtshali Disability Home in Gauteng, Mogalakwena Hospice in Limpopo, Sionqoba Day Care for Disabled Children in Mpumalanga, Entokozweni Children and Elderly Care Center in KwaZulu-Natal, Bukamusobabana Children's Center in the Free State, Ekuphumuleni Old Age Home in the Eastern Cape. The EFF will visit Legae Muteo Child and Youth Care Center in the Northwest and Khumutsego Old Age Center in the Northern Cape to make more meaningful contribution in the lives of the vulnerable, as that is the character of the EFF. We encourage all members of society to assist this institution with any form of donation to help them continue with the good work they are doing. The EFF has donated 100,000 to all orphanages, old age homes, and centers for disabled were visited. On top of the improvements we have made to these centers, we will appoint a full-time social development manager to make sure that all the adopted NPOs and NGOs are properly coordinated and given the necessary support. Over the past few months, the EFF has been showcasing the stage play Luruo across all provinces of South Africa to teach our people about the history of the EFF in a thematic format. This incredible artistic expression of the revolution has been a great success and a lesson of how neglected the arts are in South Africa, as many areas do not have theaters in South Africa. In Limpopo, there is no even a single thing that looks like a theater. As part of cultivating a culture of learning, reading and writing, the EFF launched the EFF essay competition, wherein learners from grade 10 to 12 were encouraged to write essay in any of South Africa's official languages. The EFF received a total of 144 essays with 11 official languages and all 9 provinces represented. The EFF salute all the young people who took time to study the history of the EFF and express themselves through written work. The EFF will give 40,000 reward for each winning essay in each official language. EFF also launched EFF poetry competition, where all poets were invited to submit poems reflecting on the 10 years existence of the EFF to stand a chance of winning 50,000. The EFF has received 360 poems with 10 official languages represented, and we commend all those who take pride in the art of poetry for participating in this initiative to promote their craft. All essays and poems will be marked by independent, highly qualified assessors, and the winners will be announced on the 27th of July at the dinner of the EFF to be held at the Emperor's Palace. we are pleased to announce to the people of South Africa that we have received a total of 100 cows as part of the donation made to the EFF ahead of the 10th anniversary rally. These cows come as an appreciation from the people from all walks of life, of the life of the EFF and what this mighty organization has done for them. We further extend our deepest gratitude to all those who donated and continue to donate to the EFF through our SMS donation platform, through the online donation platform, and those who have donated groceries. Your efforts have shaken the enemy who does not want the revolution to be funded. The revolution must be financed, so continue donating more and shame all those devils who want the EFF to fail. The EFF has further launched the 5th Jazz Hour album to mark the 10th anniversary of the EFF. The album consists of 25 songs which range from the traditional revolutionary songs, jazz, Afrobeat, Bacardi, Amapiano, and gospel music. We encourage all our people to download the album for free on the EFF website, effonline.org. Music is a central part of the revolution and we must always celebrate it. The EFF 10th anniversary rally will be an occasion to be celebrated by all sectors of society and distinguished guests, and we have invited representatives from diplomatic embassies, international guests, leaders of different political parties, union leadership, traditional leadership, leadership of churches and the business sector, prominent members of society, and the structures of the EFF across the continent and the student command. In our 10th anniversary month, the EFF will host numerous community meetings to invite our people to the celebration of this glorious movement. Further to this, the EFF will host and participate in the following programs as part of build-up to the 10th anniversary rally of the EFF at the FNB Stadium on the 29th of July 2023. Today, we will host a commemorative walk from Uncle Tom's Hall to Hector Peterson Memorial Square to observe 10 years since the decision was taken to form this gallant movement of the poor. We will further today have an address at Hector Peterson Memorial Square to reflect on the journey we have taken since we gathered on the square in 2013 and pay tribute to the brave youth of 1976 which continue to inspire us. The EFF will this afternoon at 3 host an exhibition at Uncle Tom's Hall which will depict the 10-year history of EFF and all the trials and tribulations and successes we have achieved in our decade of unbroken struggle. On the 14th of July 2023, the EFF will form part of a media engagement titled A Frank Dialogue led by Dr. J.J. Tabane. In this dialogue, various editors will receive an opportunity to engage with the president of the EFF uncensored and reflect on the 10-year journey of the organization. On the 22nd of July 2023, the EFF will host an EFF Carnival, which will begin at Alexander Stadium in Johannesburg and proceed throughout Sandton to mark the festive nature of the EFF ahead of the Great Red Festival of the Poor on the 29th of July 2023. The EFF will host a public lecture at the University of Cape Town on the 24th of July 2023 to be addressed by the esteemed Pan-Africanist scholar P.L.O. Lumumba. This lecture will give succinct history of the EFF and link the struggle this gallant organization has championed to the struggles of liberation throughout the history of Africa. As an organization that owes its existence to the sacrifice of the brave miners of Marikana, the EFF will host 10th anniversary birthday celebration at Marikana on the 26th of July 2023 to pay tribute to those brave workers who showed us what it means to be brave and fight for African dignity. But equally, 10 years ago, the EFF was launched there through its public lodge. On the 27th of July 2023, the EFF will host an exclusive dinner, that's where we sell tables, at the Emperor's Palace in order to engage with the business sector and appraise them of the policies of the EFF as a government in waiting that will preside over them in 2024. On the 28th of July 2023, the EFF will have a seminar engagement with the diplomatic community in the form of a diplomatic breakfast where various embassies will form part of the engagement with the EFF on domestic and international issues of significance. All these events will culminate in the greatest celebration of the left on the 29th of July 2023 at FNB Stadium, which will be full to capacity to mark 10 years of unbroken struggle. All the people of South Africa are invited to form part of this historic occasion and celebrate the role the EFF has played in their lives on the day by interacting with the EFF on social media and sharing their moments, but equally by participating in their numbers at the FNB Stadium. The 31st of January 2023, the EFF gave a directive to all its public representatives, from councillors, members of provincial legislatures, and members of parliament, to arrange transportation for their constituencies to attend the 10th anniversary rally of the EFF at the FNB Stadium. This directive was given to ensure that public representatives bring those that they claim to represent to the celebration of the EFF, and to ensure that the people of South Africa from all across South Africa are part of this historic occasion. The final deadline for this submission of these reports on transportation organized by public representatives was the 30th of June 2023, and no extension will be granted moving forward. Out of total number of buses expected from public representatives, which was 3,258, the EFF has received confirmation of 1,324 buses from public representatives, which will make their way to FNB Stadium from the length and breadth of South Africa. We commend all those who have complied with the organizational directive without fail. All those public representatives who failed to comply with this directive, including those who are members of the Central Command Team and War Council of the EFF, are effectively prohibited from attending the 10th anniversary rally of the EFF at the FNB Stadium. The EFF will publish the names of public representatives who are banished from attending the 10th anniversary on Tuesday, the 11th July, after their respective bus lists are verified. Action will be taken against them immediately after the rally, irrespective of the position they hold in public and in the EFF. The EFF will also host a gala dinner, and all officials of the EFF, Central Command Team members, members of Parliament, and members of the provincial legislatures are expected to sell tables of the gala dinner. Should they fail to do so, their names will also be published to the public. The EFF rejects the nonsensical report into the crimes committed by Cyril Ramaphosa at and in relation to Phala Phala farm, which was issued by the imposter in the office of the Public Protector Adv Gcaleka. The report is a laughable attempt to exonerate the sole director of Ntabanyoni Trust, Cyril Ramaphosa, from generating profit from the very same business he controls. It is an illogical document that it is odd with the statutes that regulate the executive and undermines the mandate of the Office of the Public Protector. The soundest report, which was produced by the former Chief Justice Sandile Ngobo, known as the Section 89 Independent Panel Report, remains unchallenged, objective and true. It is this report that found that there is a basis to establish an impeachment committee in accordance with the Constitution of South Africa on the fact that the President may have committed the following violations: a serious violation of Section 96 subsection 2A of the Constitution, a serious violation of Section 34 subsection 1 of PRECA, a serious misconduct in that the President violated Section 96 subsection 2B by acting in a way that is inconsistent with his office, a serious misconduct in that the President violated Section 96 subsection 2B of the Constitution by exposing himself to a situation involving a conflict between his official responsibility and his private businesses. The claim by Gcaleka that there is no conflict of interest in a president engaging in the exchange of millions of foreign currencies without any declaration to the South African Reserve Bank or consideration of the Executive Members Ethics Act is a sign that a lowly puppet is occupying the office of the Public Protector. The report rather seeks to place the blame of the exchange of undeclared currency, the storage of this currency in sofas and mattresses, and the rogue investigation which resulted in abduction, torture, and bribery on the employees of Ramaphosa, as if his employees will act with the complete ignorance of their principal. It is a report that is not worth the paper it is written on and must be rejected by all sound-minded South Africans. The EFF will explore legal and legislative measures to revisit the Section 89 independent panel report, which was rejected by the ANC caucus in Parliament. The report compiled by former Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo was rejected in Parliament under the pretense that the report is being reviewed in the judiciary. After the ANC abused its majority in Parliament to hide corruption, Ramaphosa then proceeded to withdraw his court challenge of the Phala Phala report on the basis that Parliament had rejected the report, revealing a rotten collusion within the ruling party to bury the Phala Phala saga by lying to the nation and Parliament. Even their own former President Thabo Mbeki condemned them for misusing their parliamentary majority to avoid accountability. The tactics to bury the Phala Phala saga, most recently through a nonsensical report by an ambitious acting public protector who seeks to piggyback a way to a permanent post in the office of the public protector, will not work. The EFF will never allow careerism to undermine the fight against corruption, despite Ramaphosa's attempt to compromise the secret of Chapter 9 institution and the judiciary. The EFF condemns the vicious attack on motorists in Johannesburg, Gauteng, by what has now been confirmed to be the VIP protection unit of the Deputy President of South Africa, Paul Mashatile. The abuse of power by these VIP protectors on a public road reveals a deep-seated abuse of power by members of the South African police, which the EFF has always warned against. It is this type of behavior that has been normalized in the South African Parliament, where members of the elite detail of subs think they are above the law and can assault citizens and even public representatives with impunity. We call for the immediate dismissal of all members of the VIP protection unit who committed these violent acts, and for their certificates as police officers to be revoked by SAPS Academy. We further call on the Firearms Control Unit of SAPS to revoke their firearms certificates. South Africa must never be allowed to degenerate into a mafia state where public sector policing is characterized by violence and abuse of citizens. The EFF wishes the people of Zimbabwe well on the upcoming national election, which will happen on the 23rd of August 2023. The elections mark a critical opportunity for the people of Zimbabwe to elect a government of their choice, to uplift the nation from the poverty that today defines what was once known as the breadbasket of Africa. We call on the incumbent ZANU-PF to resist the urge to practice violence against its political opponents and from any form of intimidation of citizens to coerce their vote. Zimbabwe needs to enter an era of political tolerance that is not defined by the history of violence and suppression, but the possibility of peace, prosperity, and continental unity. We call on all Zimbabweans who are here in South Africa to go back home and vote. If it means coming back, they can come back. They are more than welcomed. But they must do the right thing and go and vote. No one is going to fight for these Zimbabweans who are loitering the streets here. They are their own liberators. For once, they must take responsibility and get into buses and go home and vote. Zimbabweans are called upon to go home and vote and stop blaming other people for their own misfortunes, which they've got solutions to. And that solution is August 23, 2023, where they will vote for a government of their choice, which will restore peace and prosperity in that beautiful country. If they need help to go back home to go and vote, they must approach the EFF offices. We'll be more than happy to rent buses for them to go home and vote. The EFF reiterates its support for a peaceful resolution to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which is perpetuated by the insistence of the NATO war alliance to undermine the territorial integrity of Russia and the peace treaties reached at the end of the Cold War in 1989. The EFF maintains that the conflict between the two nations is a renewed attempt by forces of imperialism who belong to NATO to establish a political and a military influence in the Eastern Europe and all over the world. We are concerned by the treatment of the African Peace Mission to Ukraine and Russia by NATO alliant Poland, which effectively held South African journalists hostage on a plane for 3 days, prohibiting them from covering the mission. It is our firm belief that this was done to intimidate South Africa out of its non-aligned position in relation to the war, a clear sign of interference by NATO in South African foreign policy. The EFF reiterates that we will welcome President Vladimir Putin to South Africa during the BRICS summit and condemns the political intolerance and childish of those in the ruling party who seek to subvert the invitation of the EFF leadership to the BRICS summit. It is patently clear that the EFF is an important voice in the global affairs of society, and to undermine calls for its presence at BRICS is nothing but political jealousy. The EFF is saddened by the loss of life which has occurred in the early hours of this morning after a gas cylinder containing nitrate oxide leaked at the Angelo informal settlement in Boksburg. The EFF has constantly warned of the dangers of transportation of hazardous substances on our roads as part of the consequences of a collapsed railway infrastructure. This tragedy, which happened so soon after the gas cylinder explosion in Boksburg in December 2002, should be an instructive lesson to revive our railway industry and protect our people. I don't think this paragraph is correct. It's extremely wrong. The EFF wishes the pride of Africa, Banyana, well as they head to the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Banyana represents supporting excellence as winners of the Women's Cup of Nations, WAFCON, in 2022, and must be supported in their fight for dignity against the male-led and politicized South African Football Association. We reiterate our call for Banyana to receive equal pay as their male counterparts and the necessary bonuses for their participation and progression in the World Cup. Banyana must continue to resist the political tricks of those who lead SAFA and the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and we salute them for their spirit of resistance, such as when they refused to play on a substandard pitch against Botswana most recently. We wish Banyana well, and may they bring the trophy home. I thank you.